must be told outside what they are alleging that there is police brutality. Mr. Speaker, I remember, and it is shocking, the people who are shouting the highest when our security, Mr. Speaker, was being withdrawn by Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, and then they used to celebrate here. There is nothing unusual for government to get signal and remove your bodyguards, Mr. Speaker. And I remember, Mr. Speaker, we even went to court to challenge, but the courts told us that Inspector General...
What is the point of order, Senator Eddy?
Mr. Speaker, I rise on point of order number 105, and I wanted to know whether my good friend, honestly, Senator Cherargei, although sometimes very emotive, is in order to point at me and say that during the time that Uhuru Kenyatta or whoever the government was that denied some people security, I was happy. I was not in this house. I was not a member of any place in this house. Is he in order to point at me and impute improper motive, Mr. Speaker, on me?
Certainly, Senator Cherargei, you're out of order. The Honorable Senator certainly did not contribute to whatever you went through, and please do not in any way refer or in any way bring him to your statement that indeed Senator Eddy was involved in the withdrawal of security then when you were going through that withdrawal. That was, I believe, in the third Senate. In the third Senate. That's what you're referring, Senator Cherargei. Yes, Senator Eddy wasn't in the House. He was not even a leader, a political leader then. So there's no way he could have had that influence to warrant that. So kindly do not refer to Senator Eddy in this set.
In conclusion, I'm aware Senator Eddy was being thrashed at that time by the current the current governor of Migori, Ochilo Ayako, was thrashing Senator Eddy, and he didn't make it at that time. But I have not mentioned names, Mr. Speaker. I think answered can. In conclusion, what I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, you cannot say the government in office is illegitimate, then you want the same government to provide with you security. How? We cannot allow, and you cannot talk about police brutality and fail to recognize that the police have been killed and injured, Mr. Speaker. So I oppose this statement.
Senator Edwin Sifuna.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. From my perspective, the doctrine of separation of powers, we have a constitution that has created 3 arms of government. In my understanding of this particular doctrine, there is no arm of government that is superior to the other. In fact, Mr. Speaker, all of us in this House are members of the government of Kenya because of the fact that we are members of an arm of government. You must always make the distinction in your head between the government and the political parties that are in power. There is a big difference between ODM, the political party, and the minority leadership or the minority side here in Parliament. Mr. Speaker, I have always asked myself, how did it begin that people elected to an arm of government such as Parliament required to be provided state security? And in fact, if you pursue that line of reasoning and tie it with what I have said about these arms of government being separate but interdependent, I would actually propose a time when just the way that Parliament has its own assets, like the vehicle that I have been provided for as a leader in this House, we need to have our own police force that does not take directions from anybody other than the leadership of Parliament. Because, Mr. Speaker, this is my view.
Order,
this is
members.
My view.
May the senator be heard in silence.
Speaker, this heckling that I experience from the majority side is what boils my blood sometimes. Then I find myself in hot soup with your seat.
Calm down,
but Mr.
Senator
Speaker,
Sifuna, calm
I will do my best. I have a group of Catholic bishops who are praying for me to ignore the people who try to provoke me on this side. But Mr. Speaker, the point that I was making is that just the way Parliament has its own assets, its own budget, I think when it comes to the security of members, the same should apply. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Keroche.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity. And I want just to say that I'm with these minority side senators, for I can imagine how they are feeling without the security. But I think they know the solution of all this. Thank you. They know the solution of all this. They know we have very understanding CS of security. They just need to close across and go and apologize for the hard work, the unnecessary work they've made the CS of the security do for the last maybe, I don't know, 2 weeks or a month. I think it, and this business community complaining all the time, what they've gone through, losses. I'm sure you've seen the press conferences that they've been calling. They are losing 2.8 billion because of those unpeaceful demonstrations. And some of these,
Senator,
they are lawyers.
What is your point of order, Senator Mazayo?
Bwana Spika, singependa kumwingilia dadangu katikati na ule Ajua ambao hawajui Kiswahili.
Order senators.
Ambao hawajui Kiswahili, Bwana Spika.
May the senator for Kilifi be heard in silence, please.
Ambao hawaelewi Kiswahili.
I don't see anything funny about that statement.
Yeah.
Unless.
Kwa hiyo ningependelea Bwana Spika nimuulize, je, ni sawa kusema ya kwamba kwa sababu ya yale yaliyojiri katika huko nje, sio hapa ndani ya bunge. Kazi ya bunge ni tofauti na ile kazi ya nje ni tofauti. Na tukiwa hapa tunafanya kazi ya bunge. Ni sawa Bwana Spika kwa mtu kuambiwa
I've been attentive. Just
amesema tuende tukaombe msamaha.
Under what standing order are you is your point of order premised?
The normal standing order. Yeah. Bwana Spika, nitatumia kipengele cha kwanza katika oda yetu. Kile cha kwako Bwana Spika.
Honorable Senator, just gather yourself. Just have it. Take your seat. You know that standing order is not available to you.
Najua, utanipatia hiyo nafasi niweze
Senator Mazayo, I asked you to state the standing order upon which you're raising your point of order. And you've said standing order number 1. Standing order 1 is not available to you. Proceed to conclude your statement, Senator Keroche. Take your seat, Senator Fokelefe. What is your point of order, Senator Edie?
Mr. Speaker, I raise under standing order number 105 on responsibility for statement of fact, and specifically 105.1 on accuracy of facts. In fact, read together with the standing order number 101, Mr. Speaker, in terms of some of the things that as a senator I might find offensive. Mr. Speaker, is it in order for the senator of Nakuru to imply in this house that my security is as a function of right because of the CS of Interior, or it is by constitutional right, Mr. Speaker? And I ask this very seriously, Mr. Speaker, because I have been in hospital, Mr. Speaker. While I was in the hospital, my security was withdrawn in the middle of the night, Mr. Speaker. Up to today,
Point of order, Senator Eddy.
my point of order is the senator has argued that for us to get our security back, and for me specifically, I want to talk about myself because my security was also withdrawn as a member of Azimio. I must go and apologize to the Minister of Interior in order to get my security back. And Mr. Speaker, for me to get my security back is not a function of the CS of Interior. It's a function of right in the Constitution.
Senator Eddy, that is her opinion. As you're aware, this matter is going to be committed to a committee. I therefore overrule.
But Mr. Speaker,
proceed to conclude your.
Thank you. And I want to take just even less than a minute to respond to Senator of Migori, Senator Eddy. I just want to just respond, just to tell him, he knows very well that this government, it has a president. This government has one president who is elected, his helpers, and the helpers are the CSs. So the CS of Interior stands for the government of Kenya. So we have many lawyers on the other side, and they know Article 37, what it is saying.
Senator Mogeni. Order, senators. Senator Mogeni.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, this is a fairly serious matter, extremely serious matter. And Mr. Speaker, when you tell us to give a contribution of this nature for 2 minutes, you are not doing justice to this House. And I want to remind you, Mr. Speaker, if you read Gazette Notice number 27th of July, 2022, the privileges of security that attaches to your office as Speaker, that attaches to the office of Majority Leader, that attaches to the office of Whip of the Majority, and the leadership of the minority side, Mr. Speaker, is all worded in the same paragraph. They are all together. And if you go to the answer, Mr. Speaker, you may benefit from the contributions of Majority Leader on the 28th of April, 2021. I hope, Senator, you are listening. On his contribution at that time, Senator Cheruiyot moved this House to adjourn to discuss violations of the rights of 3 senators who were arrested to be stopped from participating effectively in the deliberations of the work of this Parliament. Mr. Speaker, I sit here at times, I listen to us, and we take the business of this House like a roller coaster, where we want to give it twists and turns. There are issues that touch on the welfare of members that should be separated from the politics of the day, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as you sit there, and to remind you that your predecessor, Speaker Marende, had his security withdrawn. He used to sit as a Speaker of this House.